Ladies and gentlemen of the press, welcome to this press briefing. With you today, we are members of the political parties liaison committee, representing the 68 political parties that are registered in this country. And we are really grateful to you for being here with us, and also for the PPLC members for making time to be here today on this very important matter. The Political Parties Liaison Committee is a body created under Section 38 of the Political Parties Act, comprising of all registered political parties, providing for a platform of dialogue between political parties, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Committee, IEBC, and the Registrar of Political Parties, ORPP. PPLC has observed with concern the soaring of the political climate in the country, which is deteriorating in spite of the country battling the unprecedented crisis brought about by the global COVID-19 pandemic. It is undoubtedly clear, as the central bank governor stated last week, that the crisis has and will continue to precipitate an unprecedented economic downturn by the collapse of SMEs, loss of jobs and livelihoods. In fact, it is anticipated that over 2 million youth could lose their jobs at the back of this pandemic, not to mention the youth who are still unemployed before the pandemic. For this reason, many Kenyans cannot put food on their tables as we speak. Indeed, your mama mbogas, the juakali artisans, and numerous Kenyans in general are suffering as a result of this pandemic. It therefore saddens us greatly that at such a time, some are using this period to dedicate their efforts to making political machinations day and night instead of joining hands to find a solution to mitigate the suffering of Kenyans. We are aware of the political maneuverings geared towards killing political parties in a bid to eradicate multi-party democracy, which is exposed in our constitution. On a daily basis, despite directives given by government, we note with concern the inequalities being experienced as people are making those political schemes. We have families, husbands and wives, the parents and children that have been separated by the cessation of movement, yet we see various political players crisscrossing county borders, defying government movement restrictions, and even holding parties late into the night with the sole intent of creating a political narrative that aims to justify their proposals to curtail political parties, an outright infringement on multi-party democracy, and an affront to the constitution they all purport to protect and uphold. Political parties have long been under attack, and this started off with a skewed allocation of the political parties fund to benefit only 2 political parties. These 2 parties have, since the inception of the fund, which is taxpayers' money, shared out approximately 10 billion. Yet we have 44 political parties with representatives in parliament and the county assemblies who do not receive even a penny. All efforts to expand the allocation of these monies to benefit all political parties in order to create a level playing field have consistently been thwarted, the last being the scrapping of the proposal supporting political parties funding that had sailed through the second reading of Parliament in March this year under the Representation of Special Interest Groups Laws Amendment Bill of 2019. We further note that the schemes have been extended to the appointment of the Registrar of Political Parties, a move that was started at a time when Jubilee Party had its internal wrangles. This action is meant to either intimidate the current acting registrar or to allow room for the appointment of a politically correct registrar who will play ball with the system to orchestrate this devious plan to finish political parties. In an affront on an independent office, that is an affront on an independent office and gravely undermines democracy and multi-party in Kenya. Further to this, on the issue of constitutional change, we note the Constitution of Kenya Amendment number 5 Bill of 2019, which seeks to amend Article 90 of the Constitution to provide that each person who is nominated for election as President or Deputy President shall automatically be the first and second on a party list for nomination into Parliament after election. Constitutional changes such as this have a monumental bearing on the country and on political parties. Constitutional changes ought to be carefully considered, discussed, and agreed upon. During this COVID-19 period, the National Treasury has completely refused to release funds for the Political Parties Liaison Committee to meet and consult on this and other far-reaching proposed amendments to our laws. Political parties are seeing this as a calculated plan to ensure that their voices are muzzled and that their logical existence is put to question, or how else would one explain lack of involvement of political parties on political matters? We would like to restate and reiterate that the involvement of PPLC, which encompasses all the registered political parties, is critical for peaceful elections and institutionalization of democracy in Kenya. In this regard, therefore, the government ought to be an enabler so that Kenyans can engage in dialogue aimed at achieving free, fair, and credible elections, which will ensure peace prevails in Kenya at all times. We are demanding the following, therefore. A sincere consultation process on the proposed upcoming referendum and amendments to the Constitution with all political parties, starting with the release of funds for the Political Parties Liaison Committee by National Treasury to enable political parties consultation to continue. 2, the allocation of political parties fund fairly and equitably to all registered political parties. And 3, external actors outside political parties to immediately cease and desist from intimidating and interfering with internal political party structures and affairs. We further would like to implore all Kenyans and the international community not to adopt a wait-and-see attitude in the face of actual and perceived threats to democracy, multipartyism, and ultimately the peace and stability of Kenya. A democratic Kenya was a product of a fiercely fought war by our second liberation heroes, and we owe it to them to protect and guard it with all our efforts. Thank you very much.
Kenya must not forget the painful route to multi-party democracy in 1992. The journey starts in 1969 after Kenya became a de facto one-party state that traveled painfully with the Kenyan people up to 1982 when Parliament moved that Kenya becomes a de jure one-party state. And struggles continued, excited and incited by government that saw Kenya reinstate multipartyism in 1992. That was a painful time, and unless we forget, we must remember that so many lives were lost. A lot of families experienced pain because of political detentions and imprisonment. We remember, or if we don't, we must remind our people that to lose an opportunity that has been taken by the people becomes another agitation, and Kenya must not go there. First, we have experienced greed and selfishness in state management. And what it means is this, that a few politicians are looking at the political party's fund, and because of that, that money makes them think that they should be the only ones managing the political space by having 1, 2, or 3 political parties. Parties are organized organically, and organically they must be let to die. It is in black and white. The year 2011, we are about 64 political parties and about 350 applications. Today we have 64 or 68 political parties, and therefore we can actually see that people get tired of starting, organizing, and registering political parties because they are not based on ideology, any philosophy, but maybe some emotional excitement. So we are asking the country and the government, for that matter, not to excite Kenyans to one's agitation, and we do not want to disrupt peace by demonstrations that we have already witnessed sometimes in this country, and Uhuru and his government must beware that whatever they try to do, which is not democratic, touches our people the wrong way. We have seen dictators start in Africa, we have seen dictators go in Africa, and Kenya is at least more mature to appreciate that dictatorship has done something here, and we must not go back there. Thank you very much.
The press, my name is Jane Jiru. I am the immediate former chair of the Political Parties Liaison Committee. We have worked extremely hard to sustain political parties in Kenya. As we stand today, the law states that for you to have a political party in Kenya, you must have at least 24 offices across the country. You must have at least 24,000 members drawn from across the country. We have over 44 political parties with representatives. Yet only 2 political parties share in that fund. And at the same time, they expect us to continue to comply. The political schemes and machinations are going to come down to tell us, hey, look here, you are a political party, you do not have an office in such and such an area as you stated. Where do they expect the political parties to draw funds? How do we create a level playing field in Kenya for all political parties? Because every political party aims at capturing power. But when taxpayers' money, our money as Kenyans, is used to only fund 2 political parties, what does that say for the rest of us? That is one of the inequalities. When a parent who lives in Moranga, hapa tu karibu, has not seen the wife and children for all this period, yet people can cross the border to go and party, and they take videos and put them up on social media for Kenyans to see in the full glare, and the same people are not taken to quarantine. What are they telling Kenyans? That there are those who are more equal than others? Ya kwamba Kenya ni shamba la wanyama? It is wrong, and it is time that Kenyans said no to the issues that are affecting them and the issues that the government is blatantly. Yesterday tulisikia Maraga, the CJ himself, speak about the lack of respect for the law by the executive. If the executive cannot obey the law, why should I be allowed to obey why should I be obligated to obey that law? And why is the government trying to push Kenyans into a corner? Unajua saa ingine, when you're beating a cat, it is quiet, but it can turn back at you. So the president needs to look and make sure that there's equality of the law, there's obedience of the law, and we all obey the rule of law in everything that we do as Kenyans. We do not want to go back to where we have been in the past. We do not want to go back to as recent as tear gas Mondays. But if Kenyans are pushed, yes, it will come to that. Thank you very much.
Very good. Yes, thank you.
Multi-party power.
Power.
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 Thank you. I think that's it.
That's it. Any questions? Yes, Chair.